robots are hot right now, right? Automation is hot right now. How is that changing the types of conversations you're having with customers?
If you look at the numbers, it was 34,000 robots sold in 2021 in the United States. I just looked at the numbers for April, unfilled manufacturing jobs in the United States right now. That's like 3 times higher than the number before the pandemic. So I don't really understand why we're not selling more robots than we are.
All right, you opened this door, so we'll bounce over to the other Greg here and ask that question. As a big user, as someone who's more and more invested in automation technologies, is the conversation around ROI changing, or is my question horribly flawed?
So I think there's a combination of responses to that answer. I think that the conversation around ROI is changing. I mean, obviously, at UPS, we're running a business, we're moving packages every day. So we need to have solutions that work in our buildings, that are reliable, that do the job. So if we invest in something that's 75%, 60% of the job, we've got to figure out how to deal with the balance of, or the exceptions related to what the robot would not be able to handle. So I think ROI is important. Functionality of the robot is important. And I do think that, where we are in terms of labor, everyone's looking at the same labor pool to leverage labor. Human capital is something that we need to think about going forward. So I think it's a blend of all those things for sure, but I think ROI is important, functionality is important, and then leveraging the people you have left to do the jobs that, that's going to be left over. I think that's something to think about as well.
Greg, tell us a little bit, just so this audience knows, about what you do at UPS.
So I'm the vice president, again, of the Global Advanced Technology Group, and I have 5 different pillars that I work on for UPS for our Global Smart Logistics Network. One of them is robotics and automation. So thinking about the future of work, what happens, we have situations like the pandemic, or we want to expand to other customers that we want to kind of think about how do we move packages to other customers. We're developing robots to meet that need inside of our warehouses and really out in the world so they can meet up with our customer needs.
And Melonee and Mike, I'm going to throw this question to both of you. All this excitement, all this pressure, all this energy, that creates its own set of struggles, though. Customers are demanding, we need it now. Mike, how do you meet that type of demand pressure?
Yeah, I think what Greg said is really profound in terms of what is happening in this logistics and distribution space, because it is fundamentally a brand new market for us. There's a lot of the key technology that's needed. I think robotic technology, robot arms and software, but there's a lot of new challenges and opportunities, I think, to solve some of the problems that Greg has in his space. So it's really exciting for us. There hasn't been an opportunity like this since the automotive industry really started to use robots, to see how many different opportunities we can scale to in this area. But it does present an entirely new set of challenges for us. So I think the opportunities are really endless, but it's going to take us working together and coming up with some new technology. And you're going to see that a lot around here. There's a lot of AI technologies, there's a lot of 3D vision technology, and a lot of ease of use technology that's in and around this show floor that's going to blend in well.
Melonee, you want to jump in?
Yeah, I think what Mike was alluding to is that one of the big things about this exuberance that people have about, I want it now and I don't care how I get it, is that in many cases what we're fighting against is change management. And one of the big hurdles as part of that change management is that if they can't use it, if they can't deploy it, if they can't get it in quickly, then they can't see that ROI, they can't see and believe in the change, and then that change doesn't happen. And so we're investing as a community of providers in better tools for deployment, ease of use, rapid deployment, flexibility in our tools. The industry has changed a lot over the last 70-ish years. We went from you had to be a highly skilled individual that knew everything about programming PLCs and robot arms to I know how to program like Blockly or some language that children are using today to learn about programming as part of the methodology for in using these tools and deploying them. And we're much more focused on flexibility. You know, making a changeover 20 years ago even was very difficult in terms of getting this technology to do something different. And so all of that investment is starting to pay off in terms of enabling our customers to get through the change management hurdle.
Now, Deepu, Mike Cicco mentioned artificial intelligence and the role it is playing in this acceleration of implementation of automation. What are the big spaces where AI is really helping empower this next wave of manufacturing?
Yeah, so NVIDIA, we are a technology company delivering computing platforms for various industries. We work at the intersection of high-performance computing, artificial intelligence, and graphics. So artificial intelligence is basically automating automation, so which means it's being used in every industry. And of course, robotics is one of those industries where we think artificial intelligence and graphics, simulation come into the picture. And that's why we are here at Automate. And incidentally, going back, one of the earlier topic was, there's over 1,000 companies that are building robots, are simulating robots, are manufacturing robots, are using robots that are working with our technology, especially in the area of artificial intelligence and simulation.
I want to drag us back to the business conditions that we sort of opened with. There's all this tremendous good news around automation, but as I said, I drove by a gas station yesterday. Gas was over $5 here in Michigan. We're seeing, inflationary pressures. Milton mentioned the war in Europe. China still has a whole lot going on. Are we worried as automation professionals that this is going to slow this tremendous growth or provide a speed bump? Mike, I'm going to start with you there.
No, I don't think that whatever type of recession you might think that is coming or whatever you might feel is coming, I don't think. I agree with Greg Smith on this, that I think that we could be selling more robots. If we could deploy faster and if we had enough people in the industry that were doing it, I think we'd be selling more robots than we even are today. I do want to point out what Milton, the data that Milton showed, for those of you in the audience, there is a fundamental difference at the IFR when we talk about installations, because the A3 publishes sales. So the A3 just published that we're up 40%. That's on a sales basis. So there's a bunch of good news in there. So what Milton presented was installations. We have a huge backlog of sales that we've achieved that haven't been installed yet. So there's a sales and installations are two different pieces of data. So I think that we have our own supply chain. All of us have a supply chain that we're dealing with, and so we're all dealing with the same supply chain pressures that exist everywhere in the industry. So I think that there's a level of slowdown based off of that, whether it's logistics or just materials in general. But truthfully, I think the automation and robotics industry is going to continue to grow through whatever type of recession you think's coming.
Greg?
So I think Teradyne has a long history, 60 years in the semiconductor industry, and so we've seen a few cycles. We also saw that there's an underlying growth that exists in the industry and a sort of undeniable technology trend in that space. Moore's Law is going to drive things along. I think the same thing exists in automation, that we're going to see business cycles like any other business. There are going to be constraints on capital budgets if there's a recession. We may see that impact orders. It doesn't change the long-term trajectory of the industry, that we're going to continue to innovate, we're going to continue to sell robots, and our customers are going to face the same problems, but they're going to have day-to-day impacts that they need to deal with. So I think the only thing that I've taken away is don't freak out over economic news, that it goes through a cycle and things are going to continue to favor the long-term trend.
Yeah, I would also say that one of the things that's going to help us through this recession is new business models. We're seeing more and rapid adoption of RAS, Robot as a Service, and it's enabling more traditional CapEx-heavy businesses to be more flexible around the way that they're using their OpEx and their CapEx for engaging in these projects. And so I think that'll help us a lot as we push through the economic challenges. But I will say that the one thing that I believe will happen is innovation budgets will contract. And I think that is going to be one of the more challenging things as you look around Automate, there's a lot of innovation that's happening. And we most likely will spend the next 2 or 3 years ignoring some of that innovation because we're not investing the dollars that we need to in that space, just due to the way we do budgeting in corporate America and as part of our businesses.
You think that's risk averseness, so to speak, that people want to just not take a chance on something as much?
I don't think it's risk aversion. I think it's just P&L. I mean, at the end of the day, you're going through the P&L and you're like, what the hell am I going to take out? This innovation budget, that looks easy, and swipe it goes. So I don't think it's risk aversion. I think it's just the way we look at how we manage our costs and how we make sure that businesses survive through downturns.
So I want to thank the International Federation of Robotics for helping us host this and for sharing their statistics at the top of this. But I really want to thank our great panel up here for spending so much time with us. Mike Cicco, President and CEO of FANUC America, Deepu Talla, VP and GM of Embedded Edge Computing at NVIDIA, Greg Brown, Vice President, Global Advanced Technology Group at UPS, Melonee Wise, Vice President, Robotics Automation at Zebra Technologies, and magician, Greg Smith, President of Industrial Automation Group, Teradyne. Thank you. Please join me in thanking them for being here.